recognized things, you're listening to Mike and you're thinking, yes, I know I need to change things. Yes, I know I might not be an Olympic athlete. I'm an everyday person. What would be the best place to get started? You've done your positives, your negatives, you know.
Yeah, so see the list that you've written as really just an illusion and push it to one side. What I did when I went through this process was I immersed myself in just the thought over a few weeks of just exploring the notion of being enough. You and I could debate this for the next hour or so, but deep down both of us know that there's a universal truth to this. We are complete, we're enough when we arrive, and we've just got to reconnect with that. So the more you stop and just spend time thinking about that and exploring that, the more you awaken to it. What I say to people is we actually have no work to do to get back to being enough again.
Have to be.
You've just got to realise that you are. It's an awakening to it. And I had this light bulb moment when I was in my late 30s of going to myself, you know, it's just so true. Somebody else might have said that I was not enough, but that was just their opinion. And so I really started to feel that sense of my own enoughness again. That was when the real shift started for me. And then I was able to say, okay, if I want to achieve this thing in life, I asked myself the question, what do I need to believe and who do I need to be? It doesn't really matter what I currently believe because that's what I'm anchored in right now. My results in life are a consequence of my current beliefs. I remember working with an executive a couple of years ago whose business was going really, really well. And I said to her, so how would you define yourself as a leader? She said, I'm very strong, I'm determined, and I'm purposeful. And I said, it's little wonder why you've done so well. That definition of yourself, how you see yourself, would lead to all sorts of great behaviours. And I said to her, what's your biggest challenge for the year? She looked at me a little sheepishly and she said, well, actually, my doctors told me I need to lose 40 kilos. And she was only 5'2", so you can probably picture that.
Yeah.
And I said to her, so, okay, if the result we're looking for here is to drop 40 kilos, what do you need to do? And of course, we all know that. It's exercise, it's eat better meal portions, better food, raw, you know, all those things that you know so well. And then I said, okay, so we all know what we need to do to drop the 40 kilos. Why don't you do it? And she started to tell me the story. Well, you know, I'm a really busy job and finding time every day. And off she went. And at the end of 5 minutes or so, she was sitting with a big smile on her face because she had justified completely why she couldn't lose the 40 kilos. So I said to her, okay, I don't really want to know what you currently believe about yourself or how you currently see yourself, because that belief and that view is what's led to you being 40 kilos overweight. Yeah. There's self-esteem issues, there's self-worth issues, all again are just somebody else's opinion, by the way. So I said to her, give me 5 things you need to believe if you're going to lose 40 kilos. And she fought it for a while, but we finally came up with 5 things, including that I could find 30 minutes every day, to if I don't find the time and if I don't succeed at this, my life expectancy is going to be cut short, or at least the quality of my life is going to be pretty ordinary when I'm older. Then I said to her, so okay, we don't know what you need to believe. Tell me who you need to be if you're going to lose 40 kilos. And she looked at me and she smiled and said, I guess I'd need to be strong, determined and purposeful. And I said, well, I thought that's who you already were. That's who you are in your career. That's who you are as it relates to this process of losing 40 kilos, then you'll lose it. So when your beliefs about the outcome and your view of yourself, if they support that outcome, then you'll do what you need to do.
Yeah, and that's such a wonderful point, because at no stage in your life is there ever a cut-off point where you can suddenly draw a line in the sand and say, I'm taking responsibility for me. I'm going to design who I am, design my life.
Yes, own it completely. Own it completely.
And once you have the sense of ownership and accountability, it's liberating, empowering, and you're unstoppable. And I think while you're on that journey, once you've worked out those things, you'll also figure out who you need to be with that's going to support you on this journey. So you need to be with, find people that are your dream team. Find people that will support you, that will be there for your milestones, that are proud of your successes, because human nature, people will try and sabotage it without meaning to be malicious. They'll be like, Mike, have another glass of wine, Nikki's not around, or oh, skip training this morning with lychee. Who cares? Sleep in. You know what I mean? They're just actually confronted by your ability to create the life that you want.
Yeah, that's so important. You've got to have people around you that are on the same journey as you, that have belief, have discipline, have willpower, not people that steal your dreams or want to suck the oxygen out of the room just because they haven't got their beliefs in place or their sense of self to be able to achieve what they want. We don't want to get dragged into that.
No, and the other thing you don't want to get dragged into is seeing their potential and putting your energy into trying to help them, because if an individual wants to change, they will get up and they'll start to take that advice and they will change that. So if you are in a family situation, and I know some of you have emailed me in to say, Nikki, I'm doing the 4-week plan and my kids are loving the food and my husband's just the last one to come around, you know, it's not your job to convince someone else of the power of well-being. First of all, you have to live that life yourself.
Yes, totally.
And then by natural default, you'll inspire others around you. Because if we're constantly preaching about how great it is, but we're not really just focusing on living that, if you do live it by default, you'll naturally get others on board. Yes. And you'll actually be a great mother or a great husband or a great partner because you'll be a result-driven and inspiring version of yourself.
Yeah, it's no surprise really that people who are the victims in life who can't all hang out together and they all kind of wallow in their collective misery, whereas those who do achieve things and go-getters in life hang out with similar sorts of people. So you need to think about who you're hanging with at the moment, whether they're actually supporting your cause or hindering it.
Yeah, and you know, if we're talking about mindfulness before, and you can generally walk away from sitting with someone and you will know if it's a positive feeling or a tiring feeling. It can be as black and white as that. So really listen to your intuition. And coming back to the points that Mike was making, when you wanted to start to do this, it's not about doing some big mission, it's actually just about taking a few moments.
Yeah, I think one of the best things we can do is to find that 2 or 3 minutes every day, which is all it is, and just sit quietly and just start to observe your thoughts. Just be a witness to what flows through your mind. And what that process actually helps you do is realize that these are just thoughts. They're not actually you. It's like if I said to you, "Are you your hand?" and you'd say, "No, it's part of me." Our thoughts and our mind are just a part of us. But it's like this little insidious virus that takes over, and all of a sudden it's generating all the thoughts and it's dragging us along. So when you actually, and this is sort of meditation, mindfulness, stop and just observe your thoughts, you actually start to create separation from them. And you realize that these thoughts aren't really you. I mean, at a basic level, they're just little electrical impulses that take place in your brain. They're not us. That's all they are. You observe the thought, and then you can turn the thought around. If the thought says in the morning, it turns up, "Oh, it's too cold to exercise," you can say, "Well, that was an interesting thought." Actually, a more appropriate thought would be, maybe I'll just put an extra layer on before I head out the door. And so if your thoughts are aligned with what you want to achieve, you'll do them. And then not only that, you start to feel really good about yourself because you come back and go, "Well, it was -5 this morning, but I still went for my run. What must that prove?" Well, that you've got willpower and you're disciplined. So all these traits that already exist within us that we've perhaps lost sight of, we realise are there.
Yeah,
and start to draw on them.
Exactly. And I think Tony Robbins said that everything you need is within you. We just don't use that toolkit.
No.
So you're going to have your odd voices. It's just part of human nature. It's part of being in a world where we get stimulus and opinions, whether we want it or not. So those things are going to come up. Recognize them and have the appropriate response. You know, or change your game plan. If it is too cold or you don't want to go outside, just do the wake up workout or do some, you know, a little prisoner workout in your hotel room. It's where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, in my role, I spend a lot of my time travelling, and so it's difficult to have a sort of a routine. But what I look for during the course of the day is where are the exercise opportunities. And it might be that if I'm in a city that my next appointment might be 1.5 kilometres away, well, rather than sort of just jump on a bus or a taxi, I'll walk it. Or if I turn up in a building and my appointment is on the 8th floor, walk up the stairs. It's easy for us to find ways to just keep moving during the day. I may not be able to do my swim squad routine, but I can do something else during the course of the day that keeps me moving, keeps me exercising, keeps me burning calories and energy, and therefore justifying why I'm eating at the end of the day.
And how would you describe the feeling of when these things align, Mike? So I think we know people have challenges. We know we need their true self-belief. It's no use meditating and having mantras unless you really believe that you're enough and you're worth it. So once you kind of, you know, you can take your texter out, write it on a mirror, put post-it notes somewhere, whatever's going to, you know, remind you to just be in the moment. What would you describe as sort of the feeling when things connect? Is it that sort of inner peace and kind of calm, even in storm?
Most of the noise that goes on in our head, that kind of just the white noise that we talk about, and all the doubts and insecurities, they all come from the subconscious mind, and they're all actually related to this sense of enough. Anxiety, for example, fear. If you treat fear or anxiety as an onion, you strip all the layers away, what you'd find right at the core of that is our fear is not being enough. We're anxious about whether we can do something or not. Our fear of failure, for example, and what sits right at the core of that, again, is the fear of not being enough. And so when you actually reconcile with that and awaken to your own sense of enoughness, all that noise goes away. And you're left with this peacefulness, this quietness, which is really, an extraordinary place to be. In Zen, they call it the state of mushin, of no mind. You start to see things with such greater clarity in life again. And getting outcomes and results in all areas of your life is just so much easier. We've got so many of our resources tied up in all this noise of validating our enoughness, which is really what ego is. Yeah. We meet people who've got lots of opinions and are very judgmental about things. That's all just us being right. That's the process of self-validation. We're trying to validate that we're enough. When you actually realise that you are, all that goes away. And it's replaced with this peaceful calmness. We don't spend our time in the past complaining about what happened, because that's where we validate, by generally going back to the past and being right about something that's already happened. We don't worry about the future because we believe in our ability to make it happen. So if you're not in the past and you're not in the future, the only place left is the present. And you're in that space with this wonderful sense of calm. You can see so clearly what needs to be done in life and where you want to go, that it's a joyous place to be.
And that calm can start from just a moment in the morning with your family. And, imagine a picture where it's all blurry around you. You've often seen that on television or maybe in image libraries or something, and then there's just this person in the middle and there's just all this blur around. And that can be on a small moment at the kitchen table with your family. It doesn't have to be that you suddenly vision your next 5 years in front of you. What it does give you is a sense that it's going to be okay, and a sense of enormous personal trust.
Yeah. Imagine if you went down to your favourite local park and in the middle of it there's a 100-year-old oak tree. Just imagine for a moment what that oak tree has observed around it. There's been chaos, and there's been panic, and there's been noise and drama and all sorts of stuff, and for 100 years the oak tree's just stood proud in the middle of all of that and just watched it all without getting involved, without being tied up in it all, without contributing to the drama. And we've sort of got to become a bit more like the oak tree. The oak tree doesn't there it is, this wonderful grand tree. It's clearly enough. There's nothing missing from it. It's beautiful. But it doesn't have to get dragged into the drama. It's only when we need to validate ourselves that we will. And so we don't actually live our true self. We're kind of off on all these different tangents with opinions about this and something to say about that, and rather than just being able to live with it. Yeah. And it's an acceptance. Life just is what it is. We can bitch and moan and complain about it all we like, but it just still is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can't control everything, but you can control who you are and your definition of success. I think instead of looking outwardly about what everyone else is doing and compare yourself to that, it's time to look at your own goals. And we talked about goal setting before, and I'll put the links back on the show notes to really sit down and make sure that your goals are true to you, that your goals are not someone else's that you've seen in a magazine or that you like the sound of. You can be inspired by other people, but there's nothing better than being your true authentic self. And that's when you're capable of anything. Yeah,
and I think when you look at setting goals too, it's great to have a view of where you're going, but probably the most important goal you can actually set is not an actual outcome so much, but the space of continual improvement. If your goal is to always improve, so that tomorrow you've improved over today, or the day after, and in a month's time you're better than now, or improved over now, just imagine where that will get you.
The 1% rule.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time around the best in the world at what they do, and I can remember having a conversation with the tennis legend Pete Sampras once about whether it was his goal to win 14 Grand Slams, which was the most of all time at that point. And of course, it was beyond the comprehension of his mind to even think about 14. So clearly, the 14 Grand Slams wasn't his goal. So how did he get there? Because his focus was on continuing to improve. And so, if you seek to be better each day, and not in huge chunks, the 1%ers, as you say, 1% every day in 100 days, you're twice as good as you are now.
And that is the most vital outtake from today's discussion as well. Take the bits and pieces from this discussion and just make 1% of your day, and that's 14 minutes maximum, not even that, on being present and on preparing your meals. It could be trying a new exercise. It could be actually stopping before you answer someone. Just put one moment in your day towards that better higher self, and then by default you'll be creating a great foundation for the future.
Yeah. In the Power Within that I wrote with tennis legend John Newcomb, we talked a lot about the subconscious mind, and then also just about how you, once you've quietened that down, how you move beyond that to define yourself. There's a whole list of words there that you can choose, that you now are the person defining who you are, not being defined by others. And if in the morning you want to get out of bed and go for a run, if you wake up and go, okay, this morning I'm strong, I'm determined, I'm honest, I'm capable, if that's who you are, then you'll behave the way you need to. So it's understanding the process, tuning into the right sort of language, making sure you've got the right sort of people around you. And the other thing I think that's really important is give yourself permission to be extraordinary.
Yeah, I think that's a a big thing.
So often people keep coming back to, well, it's just human nature. Well, I used to live my life sort of following the pack, and you realise that most people are going down a certain path in life where they're stressed, they're frustrated, life isn't living up to their expectations, but they keep going down that path. And then you meet people who are going down a different path, where they're very clear, very focused, very calm, very purposeful. They've got sort of great energy and this wonderful power sort of within. And you ask yourself, so what's the difference? But most importantly, you ask, so which path do you want to go down? Because if you choose this path, how to get on this road will be revealed to you as it is in life. Yeah. I didn't know what the ingredients were, but I decided to get on this path. Then all the answers basically came to me from the universe. But just don't go down that path. Choose to be extraordinary.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, thanks, Mike. I think the most important points, we're going to put these on the show notes as well, but once you've chosen to be your absolute personal best, the universe will continue to open the next door for you. So all you need to do is put one foot first and step out off that ledge and say,
trust it.
Trust it. Whether it's whatever it's going to be in your life, but most importantly, first of all, we have one body. I always say FedEx is not going to send a new one tomorrow. No. So start there. Start by being mindful of your body. Start by listening to your thoughts. Start by listening to how your thoughts affect your emotional and your physical well-being. And just get back inside who you are, and then that will be the beginning of the journey. And we'll also give you the links for Mike's book that you can download as an ebook from Amazon. You can buy a hard copy, which I always love to do. I'm old-fashioned. I like to write notes in the margins. And I'm also going to upload the self-beliefs and emotional states, the quadrant from the MindSense.
MindSense model, yeah.
That will be in a version on the video as well as the show notes that you can download. We'd love to hear your questions. If you've been listening to this, no matter where you are in the world, and you're like, well, that all sounds very well, but what about this? And you start to hear those, those barriers or those excuses or those usual suspects come in, then send us a note. We'd love to hear, we call it let us share your procrastination list with us, and let us help you come back and sort of give you some tips to change track. Yeah,
I think if you download a copy of this and you use this as your thought process, it'll really help you with this. People often say to me, is it hard work doing all the things that you do to stay in shape? I'm in better shape now in my 50s than I was when I was in my 20s. And I don't actually think about all the things that I need to do to stay fit. What I focus on is, who do I choose to be? Exactly. And I choose to be fit and active and healthy. And if that's how you see yourself, if that's who you choose to be, then you'll do all the things that you need to do to get the result.
Yeah. And that's actually going to be the topic of our next podcast with Mike, is discussing bringing balance and actually living that healthy lifestyle seamlessly as a part of your life. And I can't wait to share that with you as well. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thank you, Mike, for coming in and hanging out. It's so relaxed. And I hope we've inspired you, and we've given you some engaging information to start actually creating the life you want. Don't wait. Start today. Life is what you make it. So
get curious.
Get curious, exactly. So until next time, I'll have more information on my show notes, and as usual, you can download everything from thevitalitycoach.com.au.